Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and today here on the channel, we're going to be talking about the 2004 version of Mean Girls and its brand new 4K Blu-ray that just came out. And before we get into that 4K Blu-ray review, I like to give a quick film review, so if you don't want to know anything about Mean Girls, skip ahead to that 4K Blu-ray review right now. So Mean Girls was released in 2004, celebrating 20 years now, if you can believe that. It is directed by Mark Waters. The screenplay was done by Tina Fey. It was produced by Lorne Michaels, the guy, the big head honcho, the creator of Saturday Night Live. Tina Fey is one of the greatest actresses and writers to come out of Saturday Night Live, and of course she talked to Lorne Michaels. She wanted to get the book Queen Bees and Wannabes made for the big screen. Lorne Michaels called up Paramount Pictures, and they were able to get this one off the ground. But they could not imagine the cult following that this movie would eventually have and how it would just stick with a certain generation. I was 12 years old in 2004 when this movie came out, but this movie, when I go back and watch it, it really does raise up some nostalgic feelings from when I was in middle school and high school, the way people are dressed, the way people are talking to each other. But this movie back in 2004 didn't really stick with me. In fact, I didn't even see this movie for a few years until after it came out, mainly because I was a 12-year-old boy in 2004. And what that means is that I wasn't going to see these kinds of movies in movie theaters. I was very naive and ignorant. I'm a 12-year-old kid. What do you expect? To me at the time, this was considered a girls' movie, even though the fact that it's really not a girls' movie. It's a comedy movie, a great comedy movie at that. So, just being naive and ignorant for my age, I didn't see it, but eventually I did catch up to it, and I didn't love it for a very long time. This is the kind of movie that really wore me down, and that's because of my wife, Faith, who actually absolutely loves this movie. This and Clueless are her two favorite movies of all time. But Mean Girls came out in 2004, like I was saying, and she graduated high school in 2005, so she's pretty much the same age as all of these kids in this movie. Not the real actresses. That's one thing that's really funny about this movie. Like, Lindsay Lohan is the right age, but Rachel McAdams is 26 years old, and I believe she's only 5 years younger than the actress Amy Poehler, who's playing her mother in this movie, so that's always really funny. But Rachel McAdams just had a rocket ship attached to her ass after this movie. She did this, The Notebook, Red Eye, and Wedding Crashers, all within 2 years of each other. So that, this is probably Rachel McAdams at the height of her powers. This is probably still the best part of her career. She's still going to this very day, and she's always good, always reliable, Rachel McAdams. But she was a superstar in 2004. But not as much of a superstar as the actress who plays Katie in this movie, and that is Lindsay Lohan. If you were around in 2004 for Lindsay Lohan even had an album out at that time. She just did Freaky Friday in 2003. A lot of people my age probably remember 1998's the Disney movie The Parent Trap, where Lindsay Lohan plays twins. And if you were like me, you didn't realize that she was playing twins at that time. You thought that Lindsay Lohan actually had a twin, but in around 2002, 2003, we realized, nope, it's just Lindsay Lohan, and then she became a superstar for a little while. And then in the late 2000s, she started to have her personal struggles, but it looks like she's having a great life right now. Really just, living a private life. She's a mother, so really glad to see her land on her feet. But man, in 2004, there was not many people in this world bigger than Lindsay Lohan. And then this movie just became a worldwide phenomenon, a phenomenon that still lives on to this very day, to the point where we got a 2024 remake. That's not really a remake. It's basically a retelling of this movie. It's kind of based on the Broadway play of Mean Girls. That's why a lot of those actors and actresses actually from the play ended up in the movie. The musical version of this, which also features Tina Fey and Tim Meadows, who do come back, and they agreed to come back for that one, as long as they didn't have to sing. But Tina Fey and Tim Meadows are both great in whatever version you watch, but me, I will always choose the 2004 version. Like I was saying, this one just really wore me down to the point where I have seen it so many times with my wife that you just learn to love and appreciate all of the jokes in this movie. It's also got a heart in it at the end of the day. Not every joke has aged that gracefully. It's still a 20-year-old movie. We were talking different back 20 years ago, but it does feel very nostalgic. This is how people were talking back in 2004, especially in the school environment. So you can't say that they got it wrong. It's very much of the time. That's why you have the 2024 retelling of this movie for people who want to feel this movie in the modern times. But this definitely does feel like a peek into 2004. And if you were there, yeah, it's going to bring up those nostalgic feelings. Then, of course, all the laugh out loud moments.
I will keep you here all night.
We can't keep him past 4.
I will keep you here until 4.
All the sayings, the big thing when this movie's coming to 4K, they're the first time on Fetch. I love that running joke in this movie with Fetch. Every time Gretchen Wiener tries to use the word Fetch in conversation, you just see Rachel McAdams get annoyed with it till finally she's like,
Gretchen, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
this movie's filled with classic gag after classic gag that have stood the test of time. And I'm sure a lot of people 20 years ago were just expecting this to be a movie for 2004 that a lot of people would have forgot about, probably just chalked it up as a regular old-fashioned high school comedy. But no, this one has a huge legacy. That's why us getting this on 4K Blu-ray today was such a big deal. You know, again, back in the world with the musical, so of course people wanted to go back and revisit the original, and it coming to 4K Blu-ray for me felt like a pretty big deal, really solidifying the fact that 2004's Mean Girls is one of those very, very, very important films in the world of comedy, in the world of high school films, and it's definitely one, if you haven't seen, I can definitely recommend checking out. Even if you've only seen the musical, definitely go back 20 years and check out the original Mean Girls, and maybe if you want to check it out, you want to check it out on this 4K Blu-ray that we're going to talk about right now.
Made out with a hot dog. Oh my god, that was one time!
And this is the 4K Blu-ray for the brand new 2004 version of Mean Girls. They also released on the very same day the 2024 musical version of Mean Girls, but of course I opted to get this one. I did check out the 2024 version on Paramount Plus. You know, it's not really for me. I'm not a big musical guy. I appreciated what they did. I definitely liked the movie more than I thought I would like it, but it's probably not one I will be revisiting anytime in the future, whereas the original Mean Girls, I will always watch at least once a year, mainly because I am married to Faith, and Faith loves this movie, and she probably watches this at least 3 times a year, but at least one of those times a year, I'll buckle down and watch it with her, mainly because I really enjoy this movie to this point. So I was really excited to grab it on 4K Blu-ray, and I really love what they were doing with the packaging. When they announced this movie, they said first time on Fetch. I thought that's a nice little in-joke. That's exactly what you need to do for people who are fans of this movie, especially to sell the 4K Blu-ray. You know, this does look like the steelbook Blu-ray that came out, I think, 2 years ago at this point, where, you know, they made it look like the burn book, which I really do appreciate, but this is just a slipcover. This is the only version you can get right now. There is no steelbook, and that's perfectly fine. This is a good enough version. It's going for about $22 right now, and it does feel like a $22 4K Blu-ray, where, you know, this is your classic Paramount mixed bag. They cut corners where they could, but they also really gave us some great things with this 4K Blu-ray. So without further ado, let's look at this packaging. Like I said, this is a slipcover on the outside, but underneath, this case is pink, which is actually really awesome. Again, those little details are things that I appreciate with the packaging. They definitely didn't spare too much when it comes to the packaging, other than when you come inside. They still had to go with that black 4K Blu-ray, and of course, there is no pack-in Blu-ray, so that's where we're going to save some money as well. So all of your extras are going to be on this 4K Blu-ray. All of your audio tracks, which, by the way, no new audio track. This is still a Dolby True HD 5.1 that has been following around this movie, I guess, forever, and it's really noticeably weak when you watch the movie, to be honest with you guys. I don't know what it is. Paramount has just been reusing the previously released Dolby True HD tracks that have been done since the previous Blu-rays, and might even been the DVDs. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that is very, very, very disappointing, because unlike movies like Primal Fear that was using the Dolby True HD 5.1, I thought that one was a little bit more solid, whereas this one, it's a lot like Major League, where it's a little bit more weaker and a little bit more, you know, you wanted more punch with it, and this movie really could have used a little bit more punch with the Dolby True HD 5.1. You know, not enough bass in there, and really it was pretty damn weak, if I'm being honest with you guys. The audio track, I kind of had a hunch it wasn't going to be that great, and of course it really wasn't that great. And again, mixed bag, great packaging, bad audio. Then you go to the extras. Okay, it's one disc, I'm not expecting too much, but you know what, we get everything that was previously released, which is about 45 minutes of featurettes that you can edit it together into one little 45-minute documentary, which is basically a making-of documentary, and I really did appreciate that. It was really well done. You really leave almost no stone unturned. Of course, you would like us looking back on it, and they kind of do. They give us an 8-minute featurette that was really made for the new Mean Girls movie, but it has all the cast and actors and everybody who's involved with the new Mean Girls movie, Tina Fey and Tim Meadows, looking back on the 2004 film and what that film meant to them. But clearly that was made for the new Mean Girls movie that they just kind of ported over to here because, you know, I guess it's cool that they're looking back, but it's only 8 minutes, but I would have liked a little bit more than that. We also get a commentary track, which is always appreciated by people who love commentary tracks. All the deleted scenes. There's a gag reel, which is just called Word Vomit. I love a good gag reel, so I have no complaints about that. And then, of course, they give us the trailer because no extras list would be complete without the theatrical trailer. But honestly, I was very, very impressed with the extras, mainly because I didn't expect them to give us that many. My buddy Rogue1677, usually when a new 4K Blu-ray is coming out, he'll actually send me some information on it, and he'll tell me what featurettes are new. I really appreciate him doing that for me with this one, you know, but I'm really glad that they gave us so many different extras on here. Really good amount, especially for a one-disc set. I just know that there's people out there who buy these 4Ks for the new pack-in Blu-ray, mainly because a lot of the time they'll give us the new scan on the Blu-ray, but this is Paramount. They just will never do that. So if they would have packed in the Blu-ray, it would have been the previously released Blu-ray. So I don't mind them doing this. Again, it gets the cost down to about 22 bucks, but I still would have liked that pack in Blu-ray. Mainly, I would have liked to just compare the previously released Blu-ray to the 4K Blu-ray instead of having to compare it to a stream. And that, of course, will bring us to the coup de grace of this 4K Blu-ray release, and really probably what you came here to find out. How the hell are these visuals? Well, this is a native 4K. It's taken from the original camera negative. This was shot on 35mm film. Despite the fact this came out in 2004, the same summer as Collateral. And Collateral, you know, was a big deal. That was being shot on digital. Michael Mann was one of the guys at the forefront of digital cameras, bringing them to mainstream films. And you know what? Collateral, I think that kind of holds it back when it goes to the 4K Blu-ray format, because you can only make that movie look so good because of the source material and the digital cameras at the time, while this was shot on 35mm film. But they definitely did some editing in post when they got this 4K Blu-ray scanned in there, because this movie definitely looks much more warmer and much more saturated than it's ever looked in the past. When I first saw this pop up on the screen, the thing I thought of most was right away was Major League on 4K Blu-ray. That movie came out in 1989, again, using the original camera negative, giving us Dolby Vision and HDR10, and I thought that Major League was a 10 out of 10 when it comes to the visuals, and it just felt like that we were modernizing that a little bit, but while also maintaining how that movie has always looked. While this one, you know, maybe it's only because it's 20 years old, but I've always seen this movie look a certain way, and this 4K Blu-ray definitely did change how this movie looks. I'm not 100% sure if I love every single change. Like I said, it just looks a lot warmer now, a lot more saturated, but the colors do pop off the screen a lot more. They look more deep, they have more depth. It's just that I wasn't really expecting it to look, I mean, it might just look too good for me. I just think that the warmness of it really is something that has changed for me, how this movie's color temperature feels, and a lot of people might absolutely love that. I didn't love it per se, because it definitely changes how this movie looks, which is something we bring up with the 4K Blu-ray format a lot. It's something actually we're going to talk about on the Sunday show. It really does come down to personal preference. How do you feel about this movie? Because now it looks different than it's ever looked, but it's not like an extreme change or anything. It's just they warmed it up a little bit. It's definitely a lot sharper. We maintained the film grain, so this might be something that's very personal just to me and how I feel about the movie. You know, when you see a movie more than 10 times, you kind of just have a vision of it in your head, and I definitely think that this one, it's much warmer now. It just kind of changes how the movie looks for me, despite the fact that this definitely is the best way to watch this movie. If you watch this movie for the first time on this 4K Blu-ray, you're going to be pretty blown away by the visuals, because they are definitely stunning. It's just that if you've seen this movie in the past, or you're attached to this movie, it might be a little surprising at first to see the changes that were made to the visuals, because it definitely doesn't look exactly the same as your memory of this movie is going to be. And that's understandable. You know, that's one thing about the 4K Blu-ray format. We want to like change up certain things, but it's going to really come down to how do you feel about those certain little changes that they did, because again, the detail is stunning, the colors pop off your screen. It's just that little bit of warmness, a little bit of overuse of saturation on here does kind of bother me slightly, but not overall. And overall, the visuals are still really, really good. I love the packaging for this 4K Blu-ray. The audio definitely left a lot to be desired. That's the most disappointing thing of this release. The extras are pretty damn solid, and the pricing is not too bad. It just would have been cool to have in that pack in Blu-ray, but they did give us a digital code, so that's always appreciated. But how would I rate this 4K Blu-ray at a score of 1 to 10? I would still give the Mean Girls 2004 edition on 4K Blu-ray for the first time on Fetch. I would give this bad boy a pretty damn solid 8 out of 10. I definitely wanted a little bit more with this one, especially in the audio department, but they gave us good packaging, they gave us good visuals, they gave us plenty of extras, and the pricing isn't too bad, so you can't fault it too much. But again, this had the potential to be a 10 out of 10 4K Blu-ray if they just would have given us a little bit more, but this is classic Paramount for you. It's very rare they put out a 10 out of 10 4K Blu-ray, because they try to save a little bit of money any which way they can. And in this case, porting over the same audio that they've been using, I guess they don't think there's that many audio files who are going to be watching Mean Girls. Well, some of us do test out the audio, and we want to see those upgrades, and it's a little bit disappointing, but still, I definitely think that this is one that's worth your time and money, especially if you're a fan of the 2004 Mean Girls. And guys, before we get out of here today, it is Friday, and that means it's time for our digital code giveaway. In every single video we do here on Friday, we ask you guys 2 digital code giveaway questions. All you have to do is answer one of those questions in the comment section below. You come back to Tuesday's video, we put your name on a magic wheel, we spin that wheel 2 times, the 2 names it lands on, they have their choice of the digital codes that you've seen on your screen before you today. And I figured, hey, we're talking about Mean Girls, one of the best high school films of all time. What is your favorite high school film of all time? Leave that in the comment section below. And also, you know, like I was saying, this is a movie that like kind of really wore me down. What's a movie that you watched over and over again until eventually you kind of just learn to appreciate or love it? You know, there's movies you watch it like the first couple times and it doesn't click with you, but you kind of feel like it eventually will. I had this experience with Mean Girls. Even the first couple times I ever watched Blade Runner, I always appreciated, you know, the score and the visuals of it, but I never could fully get behind that movie. And now that movie is in my top 10 films of all time. So if I didn't stay committed to the movie, I never would have truly loved it. So I just want to know from you guys, is there a movie out there that you've experienced this phenomenon with? Let me know in the comments section below. And on Tuesday, even though we're going to be doing our digital code giveaway, we are also going to be doing our members giveaway. So if you are a channel member under the Friends of the Channel tier, the producers tier like John Doe Juggalo, Jason Martin, and Mr. Smelly Potato, or the directors tier like Frank from Frank's Media and Reviews, you will have your name put on a magic wheel as well on Tuesday. We're going to spin that bad boy. The name it lands on, they have their choice of the 4K Blu-rays right here. So you got Thor Love and Thunder on 4K Steelbook. You get the Italian Job that came out on 4K Blu-ray last year, the 2003 version. Then you got right here a 1980s classic, The Lost Boys on 4K Blu-ray. And then you got Warm Bodies, again, right here on 4K Blu-ray with the Lionsgate slip sleeve 4K Steelbook, which I always absolutely love, putting a slip cover over a Steelbook. You guys will have your choice of one of these 4K Blu-rays as long as you're a channel member. The Friends of the Channel tier starts at $2.99. So if you guys want to enter into this giveaway, all you got to do is be a friend of the channel or a producer or director, and we will see who our lucky winner is. If you got no money to throw our way, don't you guys worry about it at all. We just appreciate you checking out this video, and all we hope is that you enjoyed. And if you did, a simple like, a simple share, turning notifications on, it really does help the algorithm to keep pushing this channel. If you guys could do that, we would definitely really appreciate it. But if you don't want to, just get out in those streets, tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you around.